Okay, good morning, all you shiny, happy people. Let's work on this real quick. If you can, please like or subscribe. I really would appreciate if you would like or subscribe to the podcast. This podcast is going to be about a get-home bag. I might call it a get-home bag. I might call it a GHB. They're the same thing. I take the get-home bag very seriously based on where we live. We can get 12 inches of snow in 2 or 3 hours without even thinking about it. Look out and it's clear, and watch a show and look out and snow's piled up to the window. So get-home bags are very important. Think of it like everything in the EDC we talked about the last time on steroids. Everything that's in my EDC bag is also in my get-home bag. It's all necessary equipment in an shit hits a fan situation. And I was just asked about this in an email by a new prepper. SHTF stands for shit hits the fan, or shit is hitting the fan, or shit has hit the fan. Any of the above are applicable. Anytime, if I talk about something and I don't break it down and you don't understand what it is, just email me. My email again, SasquatchPrepper, the number 95, all one word, at gmail.com. So it's SasquatchPrepper, numerical 95, at gmail.com. Just, I'm telling you, if you start sending me trash, we will hunt you down. We will embarrass you. We will embarrass you so bad. We will find out who you are, and we will embarrass you. I am open to debates. I am open to good questions. But if you're just sending me an email to piss and moan, save it. Save it for your significant other. They're probably ready to leave you anyhow. That would be the final straw. So, back to the podcast. Get-home bags are different from other bags. You got your EDC, which is one we already talked about. You've got a much larger bug-out bag, which we're going to cover in greater detail later. The bug-out bag is really deep. And it is, in my opinion, your last move, your most desperate move, and you should avoid it at all costs. Your get-home bag is simply focused on getting back home. Down and dirty, quick and easy, grab and go, but you've got a bag with at least 2 to 3 days. Well, I wouldn't say more than 3 days, but for 2 to 3 days of travel on foot. This would include food, most of your hydration, warmer clothing if needed, less clothing if not needed. You got to adjust it for every season. I can't stress this enough. The last thing you want is to get out of your car, truck, hovercraft, whatever the hell you're driving, and grab your bag and start into the woods and it's like 100 degrees. Now you're going to be cutting across the woods because straightest lines are shortest distances, right? With your compass. You're not going to do this without a compass. You're going to be walking back to your car. You're going to get back at your car 3 days later, cry and shit your pants. So we're moving through the woods. You go to get, man, I need a sleeveless t-shirt, or I want a cooler hat, and you open up the bag and you've got winter gear in there. So I'm serious enough about it that I put it in my calendar so it pops up on my phone automatically. Think of it this way. If you're trying to get home, you run out of gas, you got stuff to keep you going until AAA can get there. Sometimes it takes longer than others. Sometimes they can't find you if you don't have the GPS app on your phone. But if you're really in a shit hits a fan situation, which we all know is also abbreviated SHTF now, if you're really in a shit hits a fan situation, you should be able to turn around in that back seat or get in your trunk, grab the bag, and start heading home. You should not have to rummage around in your vehicle for this bag. It should be ready to go, because you never know what's going to happen when you have to stop. And again, I don't think we're going to get hit with an EMP. I don't think we're going to get nuked. I don't think we're going to get hit with biological warfare. But I do think something is coming, and I think it's going to be more domestic than foreign. But you wouldn't be able to grab your bag and go. I'm going to mention it now, and I'll mention it later. I do have a concealed carry permit. I can carry a gun in my pack. I can carry a gun in my car. I can do everything. If you don't have your permit, anytime I say pack your gun, pack your mags, whatever, ignore me. Do not pack without permits. Now, if you want to take that chance, that's up to you. But I heavily recommend you do not pack a concealed weapon without permits. Depending on what state you're in, you can open carry. So as soon as you grab your bag, if you put your weapon in a holster and it's in the open, you're good to go. The problem you have is you have that weapon in the car and you have it in a pack or something, and it's going to cause problems for you. So step one, get your permit. If you want to carry in your pack or hidden, carry concealed. Times you're going to need your get-home bag. And I just want to run over these because somebody's going to ask, and I'd rather save you the trouble. A get-home bag is the kind of bag you're going to need during severe weather, like snowstorms, hurricanes, or even heat waves where you have the rolling brownouts. You don't know. You could be in an area where power's down, accidents are happening. You get one of them freak thunderstorms, accidents have happened, the road's blocked. You're a 2-hour walk from home. You're going to pull your car or truck over, lock it up really good. You got to get home for something's going on. You grab that bag and you go because you don't know what you're going to hit on the way. Your vehicle breaks down and you're stranded. Another really good time to have a bag. If you got to go, if you got to be somewhere, if you got to get home, you want that bag. Natural disasters, earthquakes, fires, floods, whatever. You're not going to be able to drive your car through, a fiery hellscape situation, but you are going to grab your bag and you're going to get to safety. You're going to remember that last safe point you were at. You're going to try to get a good compass bearing, wherever you are to that last safe place you saw, and you're going to get it the hell out of there. This is more the thing I think Get Home Bag is good for, is during a time of civil unrest. If you run into a time of civil unrest, you're probably going to be running into traffic jams, especially on highways. That's when the truckers shut down. That's when all hell breaks loose. You want your Get Home Bag. I don't know how to express what I'm trying to say when I say this next one clearly, but it's just, in summary, you need a Get Home Bag to get to your final destination if your POV or municipal transportation or whatever isn't available. Sometimes you can't just sit in your car and wait for help. And don't forget, even AAA has limits. You might only be able to, they might only have 3 trucks in the area and 700 people are calling them because of traffic jams or whatever reason. And the first thing you need to become a successful prepper or pre-prepper or whatever you want to call it, the first thing you have to do is get it in your head that you're never going to say, well, it won't happen to me. It's not going to happen here. It can't happen to us because. You need to stop saying that because it can happen. People of Ukraine 5 or 6 years ago didn't think they were going to be living in bombed out, buildings and stuff. And notice I said 5 or 6 years ago because we just hit the 4-year anniversary not that long ago. If I'm correct, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what they were talking about on the news. Anytime you say it can't happen here, you're taking away from your credibility and your preparedness state of mind. So stop saying this shit. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Stand by. Okay, that's better. Key principles of a get-home bag. A good get-home bag should be the following. It should be fairly lightweight. You're not packing cinder blocks and bricks and, spare tires and shit. You want it to be light enough that you can move without dying of exhaustion your second mile in. However, you need to have adequate things in this bag. You need to have certain gear in the bag. You should be considering how far you're going to have to walk. If it's a 3-day bag, you have to set up a bag with what you need. This is one of the few times I would say consider dehydrated food. I am not a big fan of dehydrated food because it takes a tremendous amount of water to create that food and digest it properly. However, in this situation, you might want to consider dehydrated food. It should also be adjusted for your size and body mass, because there's a good chance, and there's a freaking good chance, some of the people listening to this might just make up a get-home bag, go to town on it, and then you need help to carry it down to your car because it's so heavy. That's not going to do you any good. You're not going to be able to carry that. You're not even going to be able to put it on. You should be able to take it off, put it on without, giving yourself a hernia. But you also have to keep in mind you might be crossing long distances with this bag. So it should be fairly lightweight. Your bag should be simple. You should not have unnecessary gadgets, bells, and whistles. You don't need 400 batteries. This is only a 3-day bag. No unnecessary gear. Down and dirty, it is a stripped down bug out bag, but you have everything you could possibly need for 3 days. The bag has to be reliable. The items contained inside this bag, you have to be familiar with. You have to know they work. You need confidence with this equipment. If you've bought a bunch of shit on Temu, get it out of the bag. I'm telling you right now, get it out of the bag. You should have gear that you are better off with one expensive piece of gear that can cover one or two things, functions you need, rather than 30 pieces of Temu shit. You need to have confidence in your equipment, because that will get you through. Confidence in your equipment is big. People don't realize it, but if you've got everything in your pack you're confident with, you know how to use thoroughly, it's going to get you a lot further than having all this shit still in the packaging. You've never opened it, and when you open it up, it's some Temu piece of shit. Spring hits you in the eye and the thing falls apart. Don't do it. Save money and get the better stuff. Now, I'm not saying top of the line, but don't buy crap when your survival depends on it. The bag needs to be personalized to your body weight, your health, like how much you are, how fit you are. It has to be climate realistic. Like, you can't be carrying some $25 Walmart backpack and think that's going to get you 3 days of walking and hiking and bedding down in the woods, and you're not going to tear that thing out, or it's going to be in shreds till you get there in 3 days, because it will be. The goal is mobility and survival. And if you're not, I can't stress confidence in your equipment enough. You need to be confident in your equipment. I went at this one a little bit, this podcast a little bit differently. I was asked a couple questions about price. What's it going to cost to set up an EDC bag and everything else? And I'll try to go back and do another one and adjust that. But this one, I'm going to do it. I'm going to include it in this one just to give you an idea. Now, some of these things might sound expensive to some people. Some people might not think it's very expensive. Again, I would encourage you to save money and buy good gear rather than cheap gear. Your cheap gear is just not going to last. You might make it through your 3-day trek home, but it's going to be going in the trash after you get home. I think that's pushing the envelope too much. I would say you want gear that's going to last so you can use it again and again. I'm going to be reporting here on realistic budget tiers with typical item costs. There are approximate prices based on what I could look up last night. I didn't go greatly too heavily into detail, but I could find this stuff fairly quickly. So if you're thinking about putting a bag together, this might work. I can't give you any specific vendors. I refuse to support vendors that aren't supporting me. The equipment I'm going to mention, if I mention any by name, I will be mentioning equipment that works. I will not be mentioning equipment by name that doesn't work. And chances are I'm going to try to leave, at the very least, the sales point name out. Maybe I'll name a specific set of gear that you would buy at a sales point, but sales point meaning store, or online store, by the way. I am going to, the Big Blue Demon Walmart stuff, I mean, they have some stuff that's decent. I can't contest to any of it being really good because I don't buy, for my equipment, my personal equipment, I don't buy it at Walmart. I don't believe in it. I don't believe it's designed to last. I believe it's designed to look good in the packaging, and that's it. You can watch all the online reviews. There's tons of online reviews on survival gear and what do you call it? Stuff to cook with and all that stuff. I don't buy it because every time somebody mentions the name Walmart, you know they're getting money. Every time somebody mentions the name Bass Pro, you know they're getting money. I don't believe in it. Please forget I just said it. The names, because I refuse to use them when I'm reporting. I will tell you the stuff that I'm going to be mentioning and the prices. Fairly quick searches on my point to get this information together. If I can find it that quick, you computer geeks out there can find it a lot quicker. So let's start with the low budget get home bag. We're talking about maybe $100 to $125 at the most. The one I did was just over $75, but I was trying to be really tight with the money. Don't think like you got to stay inside of any parameters. I'm telling you, you need to spend the money. I'm telling you right now. But if you're trying to get something together real quick, so you have something in the car, this would be your lowest budget set. So let's just say $75 to $100. Your backpack now, again, the Big Blue Demon. God, it pains me to say it. You can get a backpack. It might get you home, I don't know, for $25 to $35. I recommend against it. But this is I digress. This is a low cost solution. I'd keep it in that price range if you're trying to save money. I'm real serious about backpacks, and I'll explain that a little bit later. You want water purification tablets. That's at least $10 to $15. Your food, I would recommend canned food. I don't like the weight, but it's a lot easier than buying dehydrated food, and it's a lot cheaper. You want to pack high protein, high fat, high caloric intake food. Shelter and clothing, I would recommend, well, it's the time of year, it changes too much during the time of year, so I'm going to pretty much stay away from that. I am going to tell you, you're going to need a decent pair of boots, something to protect your feet, and a pair of gloves. You can wear just about anything. I wouldn't wear a suit and tie to do it, but pretty much anything else you would wear, you could use to get home in 3 days. You're not going to be changing clothing in 3 days. You don't want to arrive, fresh and vibrant. You want to arrive. That's the goal. So I wouldn't worry too much about the clothing for a cheap bag. Tools, lighting, and first aid. This is the one that pains me the most. You can buy a cheap multiplier, you can buy a cheap flashlight, and you can get a cheap first aid kit and still come in under $30. I recommend against it, but if you're trying to throw something together quick, this is the way I would do it. The other thing I wanted to mention is I didn't mention in shelter and clothing. Man, I hate to drop names. Harbor Freight. You can get a tarp at Harbor Freight. I am not a tent fan. I like tarps. I have reasons for tents, and I'll probably go into that later or in another podcast. but I do not like tents if you're in a get home or even survival situation. Your contents checklist for this backpack, and this is stuff you're going to want to have on hand. And if you get a hold of me, I can email you all this. I save everything I go over, and I prepare contents beginning with a basic backpack. You want a 1 liter water bottle. I prefer a double wall aluminum water bottle, double steel wall water bottle. Man, I just said steel wall. A double aluminum wall water bottle. Reason being is if you can find some cool water in a stream and you put your water purification tablet in there or whatever you're going to do, or if you trust it to drink it, if you find cool water somewhere that you can drink and you put it in that 1 liter water bottle, it'll stay cool. Cool water can make all the difference in a 5 mile, 6 mile walk. It refreshes you, it clears your memory, it clears your mind, and it just gives you the motivation to go on and find your next clear water. That's all I can tell you. I would recommend water purification tablets. I heavily recommend it. I have a really good water filtration system that's going high end though. To start, I can tell you when I started this, I had water purification tablets probably all the way up to my last backpack before the one I have now. I didn't buy the water filtration system until I got this last backpack. You want energy bars. I don't like, again, I said it earlier, I don't like dehydrated food. I'd rather pack energy bars. The ones that are very high in fat, very high in protein. The ones that are high in fat would be the ones with the seeds in them. You want a lot of calories. You're going to be surprised how much weight you lose on a 2 or 3 day trek. I would have probably one of those bars for every 8 hours you expect to be out there. For 3 days, what is it like? It comes out to 24 bars, but that's not accurate because you're going to be resting at some point. And I would say just get like 15 energy bars for a small pack, a cheap, adequate pack. I would also say get some trail mix. The trail mix is what you would eat when you're resting. And get the good, make your own trail mix. What do they call it? Gorp or something like that. But make your own trail mix. That way you can pick and choose. You can pick your nuts with high protein. You can pick your seeds with high fat. You can just throw M&Ms in there for the high calorie. But you can make your own trail mix, and this goes for any bag. I highly recommend trail mix for when you stop to take a break. You want at least 1 pair of extra socks. Your feet will thank you for it. I have 3 pairs in my pack. And I do, when I practice, or it's been a while, but when I practice, I will take the socks I've already worn. If I can find running water somewhere, I will rinse them out in that running water, and I'll hang them on the outside of my pack to dry while I'm walking. Everyone talks about these emergency aluminum foil space blankets. I think they're crap. I wouldn't recommend them for anything except for if you have someone with an injury to maybe try to keep them from going into shock. I don't think it's enough. I really don't think it's good for anything. Everybody always, it comes with one of these space blankets. Like if you get like one of those emergency automobile side of the road crap things, and it comes with one of those space blankets. Not my first choice, probably not even down to my 27th choice. But if that's all you can afford, if you can get a big one that you can wrap completely around you, it's better than nothing. I prefer the bivvies, the survival shelter bivvy that you can use as a tent or a sleeping bag. The only thing, and I'm going to mention this, and this has to be used with caution, you don't want to use it if it's really hot. You're better off laying on top of it than laying in it if it's really hot. And if it's really cold, you need to keep in mind you're going to be sweating in there. It doesn't matter how cold it is. There's a really good chance if you're set up right and there's a drawstring at the top, you're going to be sweating in there. When you get out of it and that cold hits you, the conduction of the moisture in your clothing, when that cold hits you, it's going to stop you dead in your tracks. So you got to use these smart. As much as you're going to be tempted to fold this thing up and tie it around your neck so it's tight and warm and cozy, you have to fight the urge to do so. You need to ventilate. You need to be able to ventilate with these things, because it's going to put you in a state of hypothermia if you get out of that bag and you don't start moving right away. In the heat, don't even think about getting in that damn thing. Set it up like a tent or lay on top of it. The nice thing is both ends are open, so you get plenty of air through there. If you're going to set it up as a tent and you have like the orange or the green on the outside and the shiny shit on the outside, or shiny shit on the inside, if you're not running for your life from people chasing you, put the shiny shit on the outside. If it's hot out, it will reflect the heat and it will stay cool inside the tent, bivvy, whatever you want to call it. Moving on, lightweight rain poncho or raincoat. I'm a raincoat guy. For what you would spend for the poncho at the Big Blue Demon, you could also get one of those rain gear top and bottom setup for a couple dollars more. Whichever you take, throw the pants away. Don't use the pants. Just wear the jacket or the poncho. The problem with the really cheap jackets is putting your pack on and off, you're going to tear it to shreds. It's the only time I would mention a poncho is if you're getting really cheap gear. You want a small flashlight. You don't need a big one. If it comes down to carrying a flashlight or a headlamp, I would say a headlamp every time. You can get a fairly decent headlamp, fairly inexpensive. Again, Harbor Freight, first go-to. They have excellent flashlights for very low prices. You want to definitely, if it's not a shit at the fan like EMP situation, you want a phone charging cable and a power bank inside your pack. You will, especially if you're trying to use it as a GPS, which I recommend against for on foot, learn to read a map and get a compass. Only turn your phone on every couple hours to try to get a signal and to communicate. Do not under any circumstances use your phone as a GPS if you know how to read a map and know how to do everything you got to do. One of the problems with using your phone as a GPS when you're out in the woods is if you lose signal because of trees and everything, what's going to happen is your battery is going to get the shit kicked out of it because your phone is going to be actively looking for a signal. You will kill your battery much, much quicker if you're in deep woods than if you're on like a hilltop or something like that. So I recommend against using your phone as a GPS unit when you're out in the wild in a survival situation. One of the most debated items in your pack is how much money you should carry. I'm going to tell you, in a cheap pack, carry like $25, $30 smaller bills, mainly because if you have to stop and buy something that you really need, like water or something, and all you have is a 20, and the person you want to buy it from doesn't have any change. I know it's a far-reaching situation, but it could happen. Whereas if you have small bills, you're much better off. You don't need to make change. You got to be thinking ahead. You really got to be thinking ahead when you do one of these bags. It doesn't matter what the price point is on the bags. You got to be thinking ahead. What I could use, what I couldn't use, how I'm getting home. Is there anywhere I can stop on the way to rest safely? You really got to put a lot of thought into this stuff. Nobody's going to do it for you. You can buy the pre-done bags. Believe me, there's plenty of places you can go to buy these bags. They're all crap. They're going to be filled with 95% of stuff you don't need. And the 5% of the stuff you do need is going to be crap. I've seen them going for a lot of money. They come with dried food, yada, yada, yada. But build your own bag. Carry the stuff you need. And if you're not sure, reach out. If you need, I'll try to help you build one the best I can with what your money is, your money situation is. But you damn well better like and subscribe to the podcast. Hold on. Funny story. We had a break for coffee again. I guess it's not that funny. Okay, now this is the lowest price pack in what I put together. Your limitations are very upfront. It's less durable gear, minimal comfort, and limited redundancy. And what I mean by that is we spoke about your gear should be reusable. You shouldn't buy something that you take it out of the pack once and it falls apart. I said minimal comfort before. If I didn't, I should have. But the pack has to be comfortable for you to wear it over long periods of walking and climbing and whatever you got to do. That's why I don't like the cheap packs. They're very, very much less comfortable. I don't know how to put it in easy terms. A cheap pack, you'll be taking it off more than you're going to be wearing it because it's uncomfortable and it's less durable. That pack is going to be shredded after 3 days. You want to have a better pack. While the lower priced thing that we just went over will get you to where you're going, it's going to be a miserable experience. You can have a mid-range get-home bag, and I'm pricing it out between $150 and $200. I would say it's good for maybe 15 to 25 miles, depending on how well you know how to wear a pack. If you know how to cinch it down and tighten it on your back so it's not moving around and you're not like throwing it in trees and shit like that, it'll get you 15 to 25 miles. Typical cost breakdown would be backpack somewhere between $40 and $60. I disagree with that. You're going to have better water purification, so you're looking at $25 to $35. Food, I put right around $20 to $25. Shelter and clothing was a big increase. I put $35 to $50. And your tools, light, first aid, backup power, the whole 9 yards, I have topping out around $50. The contents checklist would be as follows. A durable backpack. Durable being it'll hold up and it's not going to kill your back or your shoulders or anything like that. The shoulder pads and the straps are extremely important. They should almost be so thick and rigid that you can't bend them. It should almost be like styrofoam. They will conform when you cinch it down, and they will make you a lot more comfortable with a heavier pack. You look at it carrying 1 to 2 liters of bottled water. I'm going to recommend 2 liters. Collapsible water bottle because you're going to have a good filter. You're going to have some kind of good filtration device. You'll be able to fill up a collapsible water bottle to carry with you. Looking at high calorie, high fat, good food. I'm talking beef sticks, trail bars, protein bars, and again, trail mix. At least 2 pairs of socks. And by the way, when you pack clothing, put it in Ziploc bags. Push all the air out of it so it doesn't pop open when you drop your bag or throw it against a tree out of frustration. But keep all your stuff in big Ziploc bags, and if you got to go buy them, get the decent Ziploc bags. Don't get the Dollar Tree crap. You're going to look at weather-appropriate clothing layers in cold weather. You want layers. You don't want a thick, puffy coat. You want a layer clothing. This time we're going to look at an emergency bivvy, emergency shelter. We're not looking at the crappy aluminum blankets anymore. Now we're talking decent bivvy survival tents. You're looking at a headlamp. We're not going to negotiate flashlight, headlamp, anything like that. You're looking at a good headlamp. Mine uses a red beam. I don't like white light when I'm in the woods because it kills your night vision. And if you have to trek through the woods or something like that, you really want to be able to keep your night vision just for rocks and trees and stuff like that. I'm not talking about, you're going to get attacked by a bear or something like that. I'm just talking about for navigation purposes, your eyes will adjust and work much better with a red light. You want a decent power bank to charge your phone or whatever you have along for communications. A multiplier or a small knife. If you're going to get a knife for a 3-day pack, get home bag, it's a full tang, full blade, not folding crap. You want a better first aid kit. I'm talking about compression dressings and possibly a tourniquet included. You want that kit to be full of aspirin, Imodium. You want some good medication in there just in case you're going to need it. If you're not drinking enough water, you're going to get a headache. You're going to get a really bad headache. If you're sweating through your clothing, the sweat is running down your back, you feel your shoes are wet from sweating, and you're not drinking enough water, you're going to start to get a really bad headache. When you rest and you drink, you really want to get some aspirin in you. You want a good local map, and you want to know how to use a compass with a topographical map. If you don't know how, learn. Your GPS and your phone will fail you at some point in the woods if you don't have preloaded maps, and it gets to be a pain in the ass. You really, really need to know how to read a good map. You got to know how to shoot your back azimuth, and you need to know how to read terrain features. You need a good pair of gloves. We're talking better gloves now too. When you got to move stuff out of your way, if you got to cross through a wooded area or something like that, you really want good gloves. I'm going to recommend at least $50 in cash and small bills for the same reason as before. I'm going to talk about a high-end pack next, and my pack is a high-end pack. But if you can't afford that, there's nothing wrong with the mid-level or even the cheaper one. At least you have something in there in your car to get home. The purpose of a high-end pack would be maximum comfort, durability, and efficiency for long distances. We're talking 30 to 50 miles if need be. That's a 10-day hump. Every day hump, for you that don't know, is the march. You're looking at a 10 to 15 mile hump every day to close those distances, which also means you might not be able to do that, so you might need a pack that's good for more than 3 days. The thing you would increase for that is your water purification and your high caloric, high protein foods. But let's just keep it to 3 days for now. The backpack cost, I'm going to do the cost breakdown now, I'm sorry. The cost breakdown is as follows. You're looking at spending at least $70 on a pack. For research, I went as high as $85. My pack was over $100. It depends on what you want, how comfortable you want it. This is the one thing I would rant and rave and pound on the desk about. Get a good pack. You're going to have better water purification, meaning you might have a good filter system now instead of just the pills. I have an excellent filtration system I'm willing to bet my life on. The water you're going to get along the way, doesn't matter if it's a mountain stream, with deers running around and butterflies and all that crap. You're still going to need to filter the water because it could still have parasites. It could still have a plethora of things inside to make you feel bad. I'm going to recommend you filter all your water after you've drank the original water you carried with you. We're going to increase the amount of money for food up to, I think, $35. You could get good canned food or even components of an MRE. You're not going to get not going to get 3 MREs for that. And honestly, you don't want to carry 3 MREs. You only want the main components. Your shelter and clothing, I'm going up to $75 on. Your shelter is going to be a decent bivy, a really good bivy. I carry a bivy and a tarp, and I leave them in there for all year. The reason I have a bivy and a tarp, I prefer to use a tarp, but if it's extremely hot, I like to use the bivy inside out with aluminum, the shiny side facing out to reflect heat. Lastly would be tools, lighting, first aid, and power. We bumped that up to $75. Get you a decent knife. Maybe one of those hanging lanterns you can hang on a branch or something so you can set up your shelter right. Definitely a better first aid kit and a good power brick. Your contents is going to be a high quality backpack. We're not messing around anymore. 2 liters of bottled water. Again, collapsible bottle or hydration bladder to put more water in after you've already drank what you brought with you. An advanced water filter, like I talked about just a few minutes ago. I prefer the pump kind. I don't like the drip, the hang on a tree and let it go, because it just takes too damn long. And I don't like life straws. I find that they're absolutely ridiculous. The way you got to suck water up through one of those. You watch your videos on them and you see the people laying next to the stream drinking the water. It doesn't work like that. You're going to kill yourself trying to drink water through one of those damn things. I mean, it's nice to have in a real pinch, I guess, but I don't even own one. That's how ridiculous I think they are. High calorie, lightweight food. High calorie, high protein, lightweight foods, which is your protein bars, to be honest with you. Protein bars, beef sticks, and beef jerky. You want to get better socks. I would say 2 to 3 pairs of socks, and I'm talking the performance, the high-end, either military or athletic socks. If it's cold, you want some kind of a high-quality insulation layer, the thicker one, like the military polypropylenes, stuff like that. It makes a huge difference. I already mentioned the bivy or the tarp. Like I said, I like both. I don't know why I put it in here twice, but I did. I have a really good tarp in my pack, and I do have one of the thicker bivvies, and I made sure the inside of it was the reflective silver. You do want a good headlamp with spare batteries, and I'm telling you, pack the spare batteries. And I'm also going to tell you, if you're walking through a field and you don't need the lamp on, don't leave it on. Turn it off. When you stop to rest, turn it off. Do not leave your headlamp on. If you need to see something when you're resting, if it's dark and you use a flashlight, you're going to need to wait before you get back on the road. You're going to need for your eyes to get attuned to the darkness again. You got to get your night vision back. That usually takes anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. So keep that in mind if you're using a bright white flashlight. You want a quality multi-tool or knife. Like I said earlier, I said knife. You could get a quality multipliers or a Gerber with the multiplier, and then you also have the Leatherman. The thing you got to remember is your knife blade on there is a folding knife blade, and they're susceptible to break very easily when you're putting them to the test. You're going to have a really good first aid kit. I would put a lot of money in a first aid kit. Some of them come with books, first aid books, which most of them I would dismiss, but I would look through it, and if it does have applicable first aid information, just learn it and then get rid of the book. I wouldn't carry the book. It's weight you don't need to have on your pack. You're going to want paracord, 550 cord, which is what we used to call it in the service, but you're going to want paracord. There's several reasons for it. You can hang almost anything with good 550 cord, but you can also use it for a fire starter. If you pull it, you cut off a section of it and pull it apart. Good 550 cord, I think, has 14 strands inside of it. You can pull those strands up and ball them up and use them. They're an excellent fire starter. High-end gloves. You really want some good gloves. If you're going to spend the money, get on the rest of the stuff, get a good pair of gloves. Your navigation kit. It's going to be a map, compass, a good marker, and even a notebook. You want to be able to jot stuff down. You want to be able to jot when you change a compass heading, so you know when you want to get back on your course. If you had to go around something, you need to know what course you want to be back on. And again, we're getting into some higher end navigation right now, and yes, a GPS would do all this for you, but if you drop it and it breaks, or you don't have a good backup power supply, one of the worst things in the world is if you get to the top of a hill and you want to make a call and the battery's dead. So I'm just telling you, don't get a good map, a good topo map, a good compass, and a good fine tip marker and a notebook. But we can go over this land navigation in a later podcast. I don't have a problem with that. If that's what somebody wants, let me know. I'll put something together. I'll make it real easy. I'm not going to make it dumbed down, but I'll make it easy. And you want to carry more cash on you. I would say $60 to $100 in smaller bills. Everybody thinks they need to go out and buy new gear, but if you have good stuff at home, maybe from camping or something like that, you can reuse it in this pack. I would clean it. I would make everything in my pack is spotless, but I would highly recommend, if you have the gear already, reuse it. I'm going to prioritize that you have good foot gear. I don't carry my foot gear in my pack. I carry it outside my pack because I'm going to put it on before I leave my vehicle if I have to go. I don't want to have to be pulling it out of my pack, and I don't want to be wearing a pair of shoes that I'm not going to wear again, at least on the 3-day trek. But prioritize your foot gear over everything else. And I know I said the pack is the most important thing, but I'd say it's 50-50. Your foot gear is extremely important. Cheap foot gear, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to be sore, it's going to fall apart or whatever. Don't get good foot gear. Avoid overly tactical, complicated equipment. Do not buy a bunch of crap. Never take it out of the box, know how to use it, and then get out there in the thick of it and you don't have a clue what you're doing. It's not the time to learn how to use something. You should know it before you get out there. Now, I know I talked about this before, and I'm gonna bring this up again. I carry everything in my pack in color-coded waterproof bags. I'm going to get another drink of coffee. Hold on. I should pause, but I'm not that professional. Okay. Coffee makes the world go round. That's a damn good cup of coffee. My every piece of equipment I have is in a color-coded bag. Like, I have blue for water filtration. I have green for, things I would need to cut down trees or shave a tree down for wood shavings to dry them out and use for fire starter. I have, and listen, this is another big thing. I do have a few cheesecloth bags in my bag. What I do, and this is to give you an idea what I'm talking about, preparing it while you're on the move, if I haven't done that before. But even if you have fresh wood, like green wood, if you can shave it down with a good knife to get the, that little curly shavings, put them in a cheesecloth bag and wear it on the outside of your pack if you can have something white on the outside without worrying about getting shot. Once that stuff dries out, it's an excellent fire starter. So you prepare on the go. I haven't gone into any fire starting equipment yet or anything like that. I do carry it in my bag, and that goes in the red bag inside of my pack. I have 3 different forms of fire starting equipment, plus tinder and everything else. I'm not going into it on this one. I don't expect you to pack this bag and just go running out in the woods for 3 days. That's something we'll talk about down the road, and I actually have somebody that I want to be on the podcast with me when I talk about it. So, color-coded bags, kind of got off the topic there. That's more advanced, but everything is packed according to what I will need in the pinch. So that would be my rain gear, first aid kit on top. I also carry my Pew Pew on top if I don't have it on me. It doesn't make any sense to put a first aid kit in the bottom of the pack if you're bleeding out and you got to find your tourniquet or something like that. And no, I do not carry the tourniquet on the outside of my pack, on one of the pack straps like I see so many frickin' idiots doing. Anything on your pack straps is subjected to being caught on something and being torn off of your pack. Before you're not even going to know it probably until you get to your first break or your second break or whatever you're coming up on, and you're not going to want to backtrack 3 miles to find your tourniquet or your flashlight or your freaking ridiculously expensive Rambo knife that got torn off somewhere. It really pisses me off when I see people do that. The only thing that goes on the outside of my pack on those straps, if I do it, is if I have like a flashlight holder, because I want to be able to get to that really quick. I don't put an expensive flashlight in it, but I might have a flashlight on the outside. And again, I don't go for it. It's not the first thing I go for because I don't want to ruin my night vision. But if you need a light quick, that's the one thing you're going to need quick besides your pew pew. All right, you've got your pack, you've got all your happy shit, you tested all your shit, or you're getting ready, I should say. You have your pack, you have all your equipment. Now we're going to test the feasibility of wearing this pack, okay? You're not going to like this, but I'm going to tell you right now, put your shit together, put it on, and go for a 3 to 5 mile walk. This is going to tell you what it's going to be like, or encapsulate what it's going to be like if you got to walk for a couple days. Keep in mind, if you end up with pinch points or sore spots with the pack in that short of a distance, you're doing something wrong. You got to reorganize the pack. You might need to put a pad inside the pack where it sit between the pack and where you wear it. You might need to. Most packs come with good padding. Now, mine has an internal soft frame plus padding, but I paid more for it. If you buy one at Wally World, the Big Blue Demon, you're probably going to need to put your own padding in there. But if you just put your pack on, all the gear in it, and don't... Man, I've been asked if you should do it with all your gear or just carry it empty, and I can't believe the ignorance of the people walking around me every day. I don't know how they stay alive. I guess it's because your body breathes automatically. I don't know, but I don't know how these people stay alive. But yes, you pack your pack. You fight like you train, and you train like you fight. You put all your shit in your pack. Quick reminder, quick friendly tip: don't put anything with sharp edges in your pack with sharp edges. If you have to wrap it in something so there are no sharp edges, they're going to push through the padding and into your favorite pack. No sharp edges in your pack. I forgot to mention that before. I'm glad I thought of it now. So here we go. We got your pack. It's on your back. You got no sharp edges. It's fully loaded. And if you end up with pinch points or sore spots, a couple things happened here, okay? And this is the problem. You went too cheap for your pack. You didn't pad that pack. The shoulder straps and waist belt and chest straps aren't set up right. It's completely overloaded with too much gear for the size of the pack, or you're just too soft and you need to get to the gym. You need to be at least in enough shape that you can walk 5 miles a day. That's the bare minimum, but you need to be in good enough shape to, if you have to hoof it through the woods, but you need to be in shape to be able to cover 5 miles a day. You need to look at the map. You need to pre-plan your route. Man, words are hard today. You need to pre-plan your route and know what you're up against and how far you can walk based on your physical condition. All right? I will tell you, as far as when you're wearing your pack, my bag is heavy. My bag, if you just grab it by the carry handle, is heavy. But it's packed solid. Nothing shifts around in it. You can turn it upside down, right, left, whatever you want to do. Stuff doesn't move around. It's packed solid like a pack should be packed. The straps are all tied down. I don't have any loose hanging straps. And it's very comfortable and balanced. You have to balance the weight in your pack. Heavy in the bottom, lighter on top. That's usually, like I said, your first aid kit. Maybe a light raincoat or something like that. My pack is a 45-60 cubic inch bag. Like I said before, it has an internal soft frame, and it weighs 5 pounds empty. So that should tell you how thick the padding is, the straps are, and how thick the material is. Plus, a very important thing if you're going to spend the money on a pack, everything on my pack is double stitched. Some of it's even more than that. You could hang my pack by one of the straps or the carry handle on a hook and grab the bag and hang your body weight on it, and it's not going to tear. It's a very thick material. The straps are very well made. The pads are very thick, but it's. I have complete faith in my bag. I know, like I said, it's expensive, but I can carry it with ease with everything I want. My bag was over $100, but I'm serious about my gear. And listen, the three groups that I gave you, the cost breakdowns, you can get $150 bag, good bag, and then use the lower priced groups for packing it. You don't have to get an expensive bag and go expensive with everything in it. The bag is next to your water the most important thing you have. So I recommend you spend the money on the bag. When your bag is on right, you should be able to sit down, get back up, lay prone, whatever you got to do with that bag, and it shouldn't be flopping around, coming around to your side, hitting you in the head when you bend over. If you have it on right and it's balanced right, it's not going to move on your back. You're not going to get pain in your lumbar region. It's just going to sit right because you have the waist strap on and you did it right. You have to know that if you're in a situation where you're crawling through some stuff or you got to crawl under something, you might want to lash 550 cord onto your bag, crawl through what you have to, and then pull your bag through. You have to know that your bag's going to be able to stand up to that, and dragging it a small distance isn't going to make holes in the bag. This is how serious you have to look at getting a bag. The also extremely important component of the bag is the carry handle on the top. That handle has to be able to support your bag and your body weight. If you get hurt and somebody has to drag you, they're going to grab that handle. They're not going to grab your shirt, your hair, or anything like that. They're going to grab the first thing that looks like a handle to drag you. If that handle snaps, you're screwed. So you want a really, really good handle on your pack, and that thing should be like triple or quadruple stitched. You'll know what I mean when you look at the different packs. This bag, you're not going to be as concerned about the color of the bag or if it presents itself as a military bag or not, because this isn't the same thing as an EDC bag. You're not going to be looking for crowds. You're going to be avoiding crowds. All you're trying to do is get home. So it doesn't matter if it's green or tan or... I don't know that I've ever seen a good quality camouflage bag. Usually solid green or solid tan are the best quality bags I've seen. It's up to you, though. Also, do not leave out a rain cover, a waterproof rain cover for your bag. Chances are it's going to rain. If you're already in a shit it's a fan situation, chances are it's going to rain to add to it. That's just the way it works. So have a good quality rain cover for your bag. And also another helpful tip, if you have a good quality rain cover and you're in your shelter and it's raining, if you set it up with sticks outside, you can catch at least a pint of water in a rainstorm. That's good drinking water. You can drink that. Rainwater is decent water to drink. So just keep that in mind. You can fill up a canteen with what you're going to catch in an hour or two rainstorm. We went over putting the lighter gear in the top. I can't recommend that enough. Don't ever put anything heavy in the top, because if that bag shifts and hits you in the head, you're going to get a knot. I want to talk about your weapon system in the bag. There's reasons to carry it inside the pack, especially if you want to keep it dry if it's raining and you got a good rain cover. But if we're going to be honest, if you're in a shit it's a fan situation and you're out of your car and you're walking, your weapon's going to be somewhere where you can get to it. There's no reason to have it in your pack at that point, especially if you're in a state where open carry is allowed. Just have it out and have it accessible. Your pack should be sitting in a way that it's not going to affect your weapon draw. If you have a truck gun, which I firmly believe in, I like truck guns. It could be a shotgun, it could be a rifle, it could be an AR pistol, anything like that. But if you have a truck gun, Your pack should be sitting in a way so it's not going to impede your weapon transition. You have to pack this, or you have to practice this stuff. It's not easy. You can get really hung up trying to swing stuff around with your pack on, and like I use a drop sling, a 2-point drop sling for my AR, or I'm sorry, a 1-point drop sling for my AR. My weapon transition is to the front and the side. Nothing has to go slung around behind me. I really recommend you learn how to use a 1-point drop sling if you're going to be carrying an AR and a pistol, because you have to practice that transition. It's one thing to practice without a pack on, completely different practicing with a pack on as far as I'm concerned. I also recommend having the weapon system out because it's probably going to keep people from walking up and asking you for water and stuff. If they say hi and you don't say anything and you just keep moving and you have weapons, out and about, people tend to keep their distance from you. Trying to think, what did I miss? What did I miss? Also, another reason for having your weapon system outside the pack is if you're in a situation where you're resting, you're never going to take your weapon off. You're never going to take your pistol off. If it's in a holster and a sling, it stays on. This is good advice. Trust me on this. And something goes down really fast and you got to jump for cover or you got to do something, you have your weapons with you. Whereas if your pew-pew is in your pack, especially like if it's a tactical breakdown rifle or something like that, but if it's in your pack, what are you going to do? It's in your pack. You can't get to it. You might not be able to get to it. So if you're going to be adorning yourself with weapon systems, adorn yourself. Do not keep it in your pack. It's not a bad idea that it fits in your pack, but once you're moving, get it out. Have it on. Last thing I'm going to say is never forget, you can have all the best gear money can buy. I mean, you can have a $500 water filtration system, yada, yada, yada. But if your bag is falling apart or it's too uncomfortable to carry, what good is having a get-home bag that you can't carry comfortably? If you're going to have to drop that bag or everything's dropping out of your bag and you can only take what you can carry in your hands, your bag is nothing but a brick with straps at this point. So always make sure it fits comfortably, it carries all the gear you need without pushing through the seams and where you can't close the zippers quickly. And I'm serious. If you can't close the zippers without having to push shit together, you got too much shit in the pack. You need a bigger pack or you need less gear. Usually you need a bigger pack. But it has to fit comfortably. It has to be closed. It has to secure snugly to your body. And you have to test it. You have to make sure you can walk with it long distances. You don't have to be able to run with it. That's a crock of shit. People say you got to be able to run at least 3 miles with your... No. You need to be able to walk comfortably with it. Because if you can walk with it, you can run with it. If you're going to carry weapon systems, you should practice transitioning weapons with a backpack on. And if you think that's the most likely situation, don't waste a lot of time transitioning weapons without a pack. Always practice with a pack on. I didn't cover ham radios with this one. I have a ham radio in my pack, but I know how to use it, and the people I would be contacting would be on when I turn my radio on listening. We would all be getting on at the same time. We would all be getting off at the same time. We would all be shutting our radios down to conserve batteries. But we know what we're doing. If you go buy a ham radio, a handheld ham radio, one of those Baofeng radios, what good is it if there's nobody to listen to you or if you don't even know what your frequencies are used for? Don't waste the time and the money. Put it in a better pack. Unless you have established radio protocols with a mag, don't waste your money on a radio. It is absolutely useless to you if you don't have people that are using your frequencies, know what frequency to be on at what time. Like if you're using rolling frequencies, and don't get it if you're not set up or you don't know how to use it. You can have the largest antenna in the world, the longest antenna in the world, but if you don't have somebody set up to use it on the proper frequency, it's useless. So You do this how you want. You pack it how you want. I'm telling you how I pack it and what I'm comfortable with and what works for me. I'm not naming any gear by brand. Again, I won't recommend any unless I have 100% faith in it, because I'm not endorsed or I'm not sponsored by anyone. Just, if you're going to buy a knife, get a good knife. If you're going to get a canteen, get a good canteen. If you're going to get a compass, get a good compass. Don't get crap, and if it takes you longer to put the bag together, so be it. But put a good bag together and then leave it in your car. Nothing in that bag should be affected by the cold or the heat. Maybe batteries, that would be about it, spare batteries, but so be it. Get a good bag, get it set up, test it out, go for a walk with it, get some confidence in it, know every piece of equipment in that bag. You'll be good to go. All right, like always, watch your six. Peace out.